appreciate the time given to this debate, despite all that is happening elsewhere in Westminster today. We face many, many challenging issues as a country and as our world, but none is more serious than the climate change and the environmental crisis. The context of our debate is the real prospect of global heating of more than 1.5 degrees by the middle of the century, with escalating extreme weather events in the UK and across the world, rising sea levels, devastating fires and floods, significant loss of life and damage to infrastructure, wars over scarce resources, shifting patterns of harvest, increasing zoonotic disease, and a massive, massive displacement of peoples as large parts of the earth become uninhabitable. Your Lordships may well have seen the final episode this week of the BBC documentary Frozen Planet 2, detailing the effects of global warming on people and wildlife. The most sinister pictures for me were the small bubbles of trapped methane being released in great quantities from the permafrost, with devastating consequences for the Earth. My Lords, it's a privilege to be a member of your Lordship's committee, Select Committee on the Environment and Climate Change, under the able leadership of Baroness Parminter. Last week we published our first major report, In Our Hands, Behaviour Change for Climate and Environmental Goals, which I commend to the House. And my questions to the Government are based on the report's findings. The world has agreed that to avert disaster in our lifetimes, we need to reach net zero by 2050 or before. That means radical action in this decade and the next. The committee agreed with the Committee for Climate Change that behaviour change is a key element in that journey. Around 32% of the change needed involves some kind of behaviour change. This includes the adoption of new technology and changing habits and practices around diet, transport, heating and consumption. Each of these behaviour changes has significant co-benefits. All of them have potential economic benefits, and they are essential stepping stones on the path to net zero. Responding to climate change is a challenge for all of us, for every individual and family, every charity, church and faith community, local government and business. The Church of England has an aspiration to reach net zero by 2030. In my own diocese, we're encouraging every church to become an eco-congregation and to be a community of change. We set aside £10 million initially over 3 years to begin to insulate over 400 vicarages across the diocese. All of the different agencies must work together, but to do that needs common policies and clear leadership. I believe personally that our government has given imaginative and committed leadership in the area of climate and the environment, including at COP26 and in the recent Environment Bill. The government has also acknowledged the need for behaviour change across the board. We must all play our part. And it's helpful to see government commitments to behaviour change summarised in the library briefing for this debate. To give one example, the Noble Lord the Minister said in your Lordship's House in September 21, the government wanted to make it easier and more affordable for people to shift towards a more sustainable lifestyle, while at the same time maintain freedom of choice and fairness. The committee takes a broadly similar view. We know that the public is looking for stronger leadership from the government in this area. 85% of the general public are concerned or very concerned about climate change, double the number from 2016. But the committee found a very, very significant gap between what the government wants to do and the leadership which is actually being offered. There are very significant gaps in understanding the challenge from department to department. There is too little joined-up thinking and policy. There are quick wins which are not being adopted. There are massive areas for development and new policy, particularly around domestic heating, which is the subject of our next inquiry. The leadership and committee structures within government are opaque. There's a lack of expertise and knowledge within government. There's been no real attempt at public information and engagement campaigns. Confusion and disorder and discord over public guidance on energy-saving tips for this winter has been reported in just the last week. And the party leadership debate we've had over the summer has raised real questions around the new government's commitment to net zero, which were being worked through yesterday in the other place. Our report offers a set of recommendations to the government in this area of leadership. Other speakers will no doubt have other questions to the Minister on other areas. But could I ask for reassurance that the government will take these concerns and questions seriously and will put real energy, creativity, determination around the process of supporting behaviour change into the future